You wake up in a room with no way out. But the real horror isn't the walls. It's who you're stuck inside with. Stay till the twist. The first thing Daniel noticed was the absence of light. Not the kind of darkness that comes with night, but something more oppressive, like velvet wrapped around the eyes. A suffocating shroud that clung to his skin and seeped into his bones. He tried to move, but his limbs were heavy, slow, like he was submerged in syrup. He blinked once, twice, but nothing changed. No flicker, no shape. And then the smell. Copper, sweat, mold. He sat up abruptly, his hands patting the ground beneath him. Concrete, cold and damp. He traced the floor with his fingers until he hit a wall. Then another, and another. A room. 4. Walls, no windows, no seams, no door. His heart kicked in his chest, frantic now, each beat echoing louder than the last. He shouted. His voice bounced back, sharp and immediate, like the walls were only inches away. Hello? A pause. Then, Daniel. A whisper. No direction. He spun. Who's there? Silence. Then again from the opposite corner. Daniel. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a voice he recognized. Tom? Nothing. Daniel pressed his back against the wall, cold seeping into his spine. He tried to remember. Last thing he recalled, walking home from the bar. A short walk, familiar streets, then black. He felt his neck. A welt, something sharp. A prick, drugged. Tom, if that's you, say something. A chuckle answered him. Familiar, but wrong? Tom? No, said the voice, Daniel's breath. Caught. Then who? Not yet. He stood slowly. No light, but his body had adjusted. Shapes emerged. Shadows. A man maybe 10 feet away, seated, legs crossed. Who are you? The figure leaned forward. You already know. Daniel stepped back until his spine hit the concrete. The figure stood, began walking forward, deliberate, slow. With each step, Daniel's fear ratcheted. You can't be here, Daniel said. I am. But you're. The figure smiled, and Daniel saw the curve of a lip. His own lip. You? Remember now, don't you? Daniel shook his head violently. No, this isn't real. The man, his twin, stood inches away now. You were always good at forgetting, but not this time. The room shifted. A light flickered on, a single bulb from the ceiling. Yellow and sick. And suddenly, Daniel saw everything. Blood. A trail across the wall, smears and patterns, a canvas of madness. A mattress in the corner soaked through with something black. Chains bolted into the concrete. Nails embedded in the wall. Daniel stumbled back, but there was nowhere to go. The double approached. Arms out. Welcome back. This isn't happening, Daniel whispered. Oh, it is. He screamed then, a guttural, hopeless sound, but no one came. The days passed, or what Daniel assumed were days. The bulb never turned off. No sound but his breath and the echo of dripping water from somewhere deep behind the walls. He wasn't alone. There were 4 others, all men, each with their own corner. None of them spoke at first. They came one by one. Each time the bulb flickered, a low hum filled the room, and a man appeared. The first was Mason. Big, silent, his knuckles scarred. He didn't speak unless spoken to, and even then, barely. Next came Leo. Young, twitchy, eyes always darting, laughing at nothing. He mumbled constantly, as if talking to someone only he could see. Then Jonah, middle-aged, balding, calm, too calm. He sat in the center most days, legs folded, eyes shut, as if meditating. The last was Alec. And Alec didn't talk, didn't move. He just stared at Daniel. All the time. Daniel tried to make sense of it. Why were they here? Where was here? No one answered. Until the wall opened. No door. Just a seam splitting like flesh, revealing a small alcove. Inside, a table. On it, a tape recorder. They all stared. Jonah was the first to approach. He pressed play. The voice that spilled out was gravelly, distorted, but unmistakably human. "This room is truth," it said. "This room is memory. You are here because you lied. Not to others, to yourselves." A click. Then silence. Daniel looked around. "What the hell does that mean?" Leo chuckled. "Means we did something. Something we don't want to remember." Mason growled. "I didn't do anything." Alex smiled. First time any expression crossed his face. "Liar," he said. Mason lunged, fists clenched. But Jonah held him back. "Don't give it what it wants," Jonah said softly. Daniel asked, "What is it?" Jonah didn't answer. But that night, the room changed. The walls pulsed faintly, like veins under skin, and the whispers began. They weren't voices. They were fragments. Sounds that slithered into the ear and nested. "Help me. Don't look. It's your fault." Daniel curled into the corner, pressing his palms against his ears until they bled. He wasn't alone in the screaming. Mason was the first to break. He smashed his fists against the wall until his bones cracked. He roared at the ceiling. He pissed on the floor, but the room didn't care. It showed him a projection like shadows on mist. A girl, young, tied to a chair, crying. Mason standing over her. "No," he said, backing away. "No, that's not." She screamed. Mason vomited. The others watched in silence. Jonah spoke then. "It feeds on guilt," he said. "It makes us remember. Forces us." Leo laughed. "Good thing I don't remember a damn thing." The room flickered. Then Leo did scream. Long and high and real. He clawed at his eyes, weeping. She was only 7. No one moved to help him. Daniel whispered, "What did you see?" Leo rocked back and forth. "My sister. I let them. I watched." He didn't finish. The bulb dimmed. Alex stood. He walked to the center of the room, looked up. "I'm ready," he said. The wall opened. But this time it wasn't a table. It was a mirror. A tall, perfect mirror. Alex stepped in front of it. Daniel shouted, "Don't." Too late. Alec reached out and touched the glass. It swallowed him. The mirror stayed. No one approached it. Not for a long time. Sleep was impossible. Dreams bled into waking. Daniel saw things. Himself, at age 10, watching his father beat his mother. Smiling. He told himself it was the room. Lies. Tricks. But deep down, he knew. Jonah approached him one day. "You're holding something back," he said. Daniel looked away. "We all are. But you more than most. What makes you think that?" Jonah didn't answer, just stared. Daniel turned. "And what about you? What did you do?" Jonah smiled. "I was a therapist." Daniel blinked. "What?" "I listened, took their pain, filed it away, but never helped, never cared. Just took notes. Watched them drown." Daniel stepped back. "Why are you smiling?" "Because this room? This is my confession booth." He walked to the mirror. Daniel shouted, "Don't do it." But Jonah turned once, said, "Some sins deserve light." He touched the glass. Gone. The mirror remained. Only Daniel, Leo, and Mason remained. But Mason didn't last. One night, he bashed his head against the wall until his skull split. Daniel screamed. Leo just laughed. The mirror disappeared. And a new wall formed. This one was covered in names. Hundreds. Thousands. Daniel recognized them all. Clients. Co-workers. His father. His brother. and one name at the bottom. Benji. Daniel fell to his knees. No. Leo. Knelt beside him. Who's Benji? Daniel's throat burned. My son. Leo's face changed. Not mocking. Not amused. I didn't know you had a kid. Daniel didn't answer. He remembered now. Benji, age 5. Daniel was drunk. Driving too fast. Arguing on the phone. Not watching the road. The scream. Silenced out the small shoe under the front tire. He buried it. Lied. Told everyone the boy was kidnapped. Even went on TV. Faked the tears. He never found the body. But now, the room showed it. Perfectly preserved. Frozen in time. Leo whispered, "You're a monster." Daniel sobbed. Leo stood and approached the wall of names. Wonder if mine's here. He scanned the list. Then froze. He touched a name, his own, and it bled. The wall opened again, this time. Not a mirror, just a pit. Leo looked down. Laughed. And jumped. Daniel was alone. He wandered the room. Talking to himself. To Benji. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't. The walls pulsed again. And this time they spoke. In Benji's voice. Daddy? Daniel screamed. Please, I'm sorry. Why'd you leave me? The ground. Split. Hands reached up. Tiny, cold. Daniel ran to the farthest wall. I can't, he cried. I didn't mean to. Liar, said the voice. The mirror returned. Daniel fell before it. He saw himself, older, haggard, but behind the reflection, Benji, not dead. Watching. Judging. Daniel reached out, touched the glass. It cracked, but didn't swallow him. Instead, the voice whispered, no escape. And the walls began to close in, smaller, tighter. Daniel screamed, but there were no more doors. No more rooms. Only him and his truth. Forever. Daniel ignored the whisper that drifted through the forest each night, but now it knows his name, and it's getting closer. Stay till the twist. Daniel Murrow wasn't the kind of man who believed in ghosts, omens, or anything beyond what he could measure, dissect, and catalog. As a field linguist, his work revolved around dying languages, recording them before the last speaker vanished into dirt. That's why he came to the Pinefield National Forest, 300,000 acres of misjoked wilderness and isolated tribal history. Rumors swirled of an undocumented dialect spoken by a single reclusive elder somewhere deep within the trees. Daniel hadn't seen another human for 5 days. He set up camp in a narrow clearing by a creek. A pile of notebooks, recording equipment, a satellite phone, and a weather-beaten tent formed his world. His boots were always caked in mud. The forest was thick and silent. No birdsong, no animal rustling. Only the wind. Always the wind. It whispered. On the first night. He heard it through the tent flap, faint, like leaves brushing against his ear, but undeniably human. A voice. Yeroshka. He turned on his recorder, stepped outside, but saw nothing. His flashlight pierced trees like columns in a ruined cathedral. He called out. Nothing responded. He documented the sound. Probably wind across ridged bark, maybe the groan of old trees, but the syllables had rhythm, structure, like a name. On the second night, the voice returned, closer. Yeroshka, Revin. Daniel's breath clouded in the air, though it wasn't cold. Something brushed his tent as he sat frozen with his headphones on. When he yanked open the flap, nothing was there. But the recorder still ran, the waveform bouncing with each gust. He played it back. The voice didn't sound like his own. Not human either. Throaty, male, urgent. On the third night, he moved his equipment deeper into the forest, recording with directional mics. He rigged parabolic dishes toward the source. An eastern ridge where the trees leaned at odd angles. The voice came again. Urowashka, Mavrin, Urowashka, come. That last word shattered him. Come, not a ghost word. Not tribal. Not old. English. Daniel hadn't told anyone where he was going. He used a personal satellite beacon, encrypted emails. The local rangers didn't even know his exact camp. Coordinates. He didn't sleep. The wind never stopped moving. By day 5, the voice spoke every night, louder. The words varied. Always the same tone, enticing, pleading. He wrote them phonetically, compared them against language databases. No matches. Not even close. But the patterns were too coherent to be random. Sometimes the wind said his name, Daniel. He checked. The satellite phone, 0 bars. The power light flickered like it was shorting out. He tried the emergency beacon. Dead. His notebooks were disorganized. Scribbles bled into margins. Some pages were torn out. He didn't remember doing that. On the 6th night, he heard a second voice, lower, less structured. URUASHKA ... Daniel ... listen ... He shouted into the void, "Who's there?" The wind paused. Just once. A silence. So thick at HUMMED. Then, behind him, softly right against the shell of his ear. Mine. He ran. Blind panic carried him into the trees. Branches slapping his face, blood painting his sleeves. He tripped twice, scraped his palms raw, and when he finally stopped, gasping, heart screaming in his chest, he was no longer in Pinefield. At least, not the Pinefield he knew. The trees leaned differently. Their trunks twisted like rope. The stars were wrong. A second moon hovered low on the horizon, red and veiled in mist. The air tasted metallic like old coins on his tongue, and the whispering hadn't stopped. If anything, it was all around him now. Inside his head, Urowashka. The word had started to mean something. It filled his thoughts like a familiar melody he couldn't name. He repeated it aloud, felt a chill surge through his spine. Urowashka. He staggered toward a shallow ravine, hoping to recognize something, anything. That's when he saw the figure. A man, or what used to be one, slouched against a stone outcrop. Pale, as if drained, with thin hair and sunken eyes that shimmered like silver in the moonlight. Daniel. The figure rasped. Daniel froze. "How do you know my name?" "I knew you would come," the man said. "We all did, eventually." "We?" The man smiled. His teeth were gone, just black gums and darkness. "The wind calls us. When it finds the right name, the right mind." "You're the elder?" The man chuckled, but it was like leaves rustling over dry bone. "No, I was a linguist. Like you?" Daniel's mouth went dry. "What the hell is this?" The man raised a trembling hand. His skin was peeling like bark. "You heard it. It's inside you now. It's learning through you. It doesn't need a body, just a mind. Language is how it travels." Daniel took a step back. "You're insane? We all are. Until it finishes speaking through us." Daniel turned and ran again, but every path bent in impossible angles. The forest looped on itself. His footprints returned in circles. The moon never moved, and the voice had got louder. By the 7th night, Daniel no longer slept. He hadn't eaten. His body thinned, his eyes bulged. He scribbled pages upon pages in tongues he didn't recognize. Not tribal, not ancient. Something else. He dreamt of tunnels in the sky and bone towers, of mouths that opened under rivers and sang him toward them. His notebooks no longer made sense. He found his own name repeated thousands of times across the margins, sometimes backward. Lunad. He heard children crying inside the wind. Then laughter. Then nothing. On the 8th day, he found the other bodies. 3 of them, men, all sitting in poses of reverence, heads bowed toward a knot in the center of a tree. Their mouths were open, their tongues gone. He approached slowly. One had a badge clipped to his shirt, National Forestry Service. Another wore a lab coat, stained brown. The third wore headphones, long broken. All dead, all eyeless. Each of them had carvings on their arms. Same symbols Daniel had started writing in his notes. As he knelt, something slithered behind his ear. Daniel. Speak. His lips moved. Uruashka, and then a cracking sound, like bark splitting. He looked up. The knot in the tree was opening. It pulsed like a throat. From its center came a hand-long, bark-like fingers dripping with sap. A face followed, twisted, male, smiling. Daniel couldn't move. You are the last, it said in his voice. He screamed. It placed a finger against his lips. Shit. Daniel awoke in his tent, gasping. Morning light flooded the clearing. Birds chirped. The creek babbled peacefully. Had it all been a dream? His satellite phone was working again. The battery full. His notebooks neatly stacked. But when he opened the top one, his breath caught. It wasn't his handwriting. Pages filled with diagrams, runes, and foreign scripts. Every word was written in a perfect hand, small, neat, confident. And in the corner, in red ink, Uruashka must be spoken. His recordings were blank. He hiked back to the ranger station. Took 3 days. No whispering followed. No strange trees. Everything looked normal, but inside him, something had changed. Back in the city, Daniel resumed work. He didn't talk about Pinefield, claimed it was a false lead, nothing to publish. His supervisor shrugged, but he kept hearing words, on subway, rides, and dripping faucets, in the hum of his laptop, Maverick. One night, he found himself writing a new phonetic system. Complex, intricate, unlike anything on Earth. He submitted a paper under a pseudonym. It was dismissed as speculative gibberish. He didn't care. The words were coming faster now. He began teaching them. To himself in front of a mirror, his reflection sometimes spoke back. On the first anniversary of the Pinefield trip, he received a package. No return address. Inside was a reel-to-reel tape. No label, just a note. Speak and be free. He didn't remember owning a real player, but that night, one was sitting in his living room, covered in dust. Still warm, he played the tape. Nothing at first. Then his own voice. But not any recording he'd made. Uruashka, Maverick, Lunad, hear me, find me, let me in. He covered his ears, but the voice didn't come from the speaker anymore. It was inside the walls, the floorboards, his spine. Uruashka. He collapsed. When he awoke, he was in a hospital, electrodes on his head, 4 in his arm. A nurse said he'd been found wandering barefoot near the interstate, muttering in a language no one could understand. The doctors called it a fugue state, stress, delirium. They didn't see the symbols he scratched into the walls of his room with a spoon. They didn't see the ink bleeding from his eyes when he dreamed. He never told them. He waited. On the 22nd night in the ward, another patient, an older man who never spoke, sat on the edge of Daniel's bed. He leaned close, whispered, one word, Uruashka. Daniel smiled. He whispered it back. Then they both laughed. The doctors found the old man dead the next morning, mouth full of black feathers. No birds in the ward. Daniel was released a week later. He moved to a cabin in northern Maine, off-grid. Remote, he began broadcasting on shortwave. He read the language from his notebooks, repeated the words every night. People began responding. First, just 1 or 2. Then dozens. He never met them. They just sent recordings, Some had voices layered over each, other multiple tongues speaking as one. Some had no human voice at all, just wind and static shaped like meaning. Daniel transcribed them. All. Built a lexicon. Then a grammar. Then stories. They weren't human stories. They spoke of things that lived in the folds between atoms. Beings made of breath and syllables. Creatures that colonized the mind through understanding. Words that nested in language. Like parasites. They had no name. Until now. Urushka. Daniel spoke the full name once. Aloud, into the dark. It echoed back, and something answered. Not in sound, but in his thoughts. A presence. Male, ancient, familiar. It knew him, and it was grateful. He was the last key, the final mind to be opened. That night, Daniel cut out his tongue with a shard of mirror. He didn't need it anymore. The wind spoke for him. And soon, it will speak for you too. All it needs. Is your name.